Hive Mind is a party game for 3 to 12 players created by world-famous designer Richard Garfield. The queen bee is facing some difficult decisions. Her hive just isn't big enough for all the worker bees, so to decide who can stay and who must leave, she will test the workers, asking them a series of questions and using their answers to see which ones think the most alike. The object of the game is to stay within the hive, for the player or players who exit the hive first lose, and everyone else wins. Setting up the game is simple. Place the board in the center of the table. This area represents the hive, while this section decides how many bees will be affected during the scoring of each round. Place the queen bee token on her start space with the yellow die and 2-minute sand timer nearby. Each player receives a pencil and a piece of paper from the pad, then chooses a worker bee pawn, or beeple, and places it at the top of the hive. For games with 8 or more players, the top 2 sections of the hive are considered the starting position. Place the hive gate pieces here, leaving out this one in games with 8 or more players. Set the questions box next to the board, and you're ready to begin. The person who most recently ate honey goes first as the active player. On a player's turn, they roll the die and move the queen bee according to the die roll. They then draw a card from the box and choose one of the 3 questions from one side, or you can always make up your own question. Everyone, including the active player, now has 2 minutes to answer the question using their opinions and experiences. In this case, let's say the question you ask is, what are 5 things in the sky? Next, starting with the active player and going around the table, everyone reads their answers aloud and compares what they wrote. Players automatically score 1 point for each of their own answers, plus 1 additional point per answer for every other player who also wrote it. Remember, your answers don't have to be correct, they just have to match others. The idea is to think like everyone else to score the most points. When it comes to matching, a plural word is the same as a singular word, so bird matches birds. But less general does not equal more general, so eagle does not match bird. Your table can decide together if plane matches jet, but each answer can only be counted once. In our example, plane was written by you and 2 others, giving you a score of 3 for that answer. You matched others with bird, rainbow, and cloud. You were the only one who wrote star, so you only get 1 point for that answer. Now it's time to move the beeples. Remember how the queen bee moved at the start of the turn? Well, the flower she landed on shows a number of bees from 1 to 3. This tells you how many of the lowest scores will move down a level in the hive. For example, let's say it's a 5-player game, and the queen bee was on this flower, showing 1 bee, and the scores for this round were 7, 7, 6, 5, 3. Then the player with 3 points would fall 1 level. If the queen bee was on this flower with 2 bees showing, then the players with 5 and 3 points would both drop. But if 2 or more players have a tie for the lowest score, they will drop together. So let's say the scores were 7, 6, 5, 3, and 3. If the queen bee was on a 2-bee flower, then players with the 2 lowest scores would be affected, meaning that all 3 of these beeples would drop. It's even possible that all players may drop if they tie with the same score. There are a couple of twists to Hive Mind. First, if the queen bee lands on a honeypot space, then the player or players with the highest score for the round go up a level in the hive, while the player or players with the lowest score will move down. Also, if a player would move down a level but one of these hive gates is blocking the way, they instead remove the hive gate and stay put. At the end of the turn, the next player clockwise becomes the active player, and they get to roll and move the queen bee, ask the question, and start when answers are compared. The game continues until 1 or more players are on the 6th and lowest floor of the hive with no hive gate to protect them, and they score the lowest in a round. They exit the hive, and everyone else wins the game. Please note that while a 2-minute sand timer comes in the game, you can also download and use the free Hive Mind Timer app for your iOS or Android device. It's a honey of a way to get immersed in the game. And now you know how to play Hive Mind. Thank you for watching.